Ooh, the squeeze.
The squeeze, you're
The
right.
seatbelt squeeze. Figure out how big I am in case there's a problem later. Yeah.
It's been a while since we've been in a BMW SUV.
True, yeah. Since that X5M monster that we
right.
drove in Arizona, those were big boys, and
That's
this
right.
feels a little bit reminiscent.
This is the 2023 X3 M40i all-wheel drive. It's everything you get to before you get to the M version,
Yes.
the X3.
Yes.
I've always kind of dug these.
Uh-huh.
But taking you back well over 20 years to the first BMW X5.
Okay.
Remember that thing?
Yeah.
This reminds me so much of that very first Gen X5.
Okay.
This is about an inch shorter in
Okay.
terms of roof height.
All right.
But the wheelbase on this is almost 113 inches. That X5 was 111.
Interesting. So it is bigger.
They're almost comparable.
Yeah.
The front headroom, for example, is more on the X3, slightly more, but the rear headroom is the same on both. This is the X3. That's how much the X5 has grown.
Absolutely, and that's how much the entire market has grown. Technically, this is what's referred to as a compact SUV, but it is mid-size. Now, there is nothing compact about this. This is competing with things like the Macan and the GV70, both of which we very much like.
Yes.
But neither of those are small either, because the
true.
ones above
It's
them
true.
have all grown.
Well, this has the engine out of, well, many cars, but it's the GR Super engine.
Yes, it is.
It's the M240i engine that makes a lot of power. It's the sandbag engine, you know, where they claim 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, and they're just on the edge of like, I think it makes more.
They're lying. They're hedging their bets.
They're
being very conservative is what they're doing. The worst possible conditions, those are your numbers.
I guess so.
One cylinder not working, still those numbers.
It still makes all this power. Z4 M40i, M340i, and the M440i.
Yep.
So
things with 40 in them at BMW have this monster engine.
A lot of vehicles.
And
it's that glorious straight six.
Yes, and it's got
great.
that torque, that almost 370 pound-feet of torque, 369 from like 1,800 RPM, which is barely above idle. It just has power always.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive. Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
Sport.
Yep, sport mode.
Manual. Downshift, 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 downshift. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it's very powerful.
That is powerful.
I mean,
that's a big number.
This is a 4,400 pound SUV. Yeah. And you wouldn't know it when you put your foot in it.
You wouldn't. It does drive smaller and lighter.
It does. It definitely does not drive like a
think.
4,400 pound car. Look, we've talked about things like the Charger and Challenger that weigh that much, and they feel huge.
They do.
This doesn't feel big like that, and it's every bit as heavy.
It sounded great.
It did sound really good, I have to admit, yep.
Well, this also comes equipped with the 48-volt starter generator, and that will give you 11 extra horsepower upon initial takeoff.
Yep.
And it does do a little bit of recapturing when you're coasting or doing some braking, so it'll capture a little bit of that energy. So it's considered a mild hybrid, which I think is BMW's way of easing their owners into potential hybrid EV ownership.
Sure, yeah.
What do we call this thing? Because it drives more car-like than SUV.
True.
But I do think it's really for BMW enthusiasts who really want a good, solid driving SUV.
Yeah.
But it's aimed more at BMW enthusiasts than anybody. Because you brought up the GV70. I'd kind of prefer that. It almost has the power that this one does.
True.
Still 375 horsepower on that guy, which is a lot, twin turbo. Everything about the GV70 just seems to surprise and delight. And the best way I can explain this is cooking.
Okay.
I'm the kind of guy that has always been told, if you can read, you can cook. If you follow the directions line for line,
Sure.
This is the procedure, this is the recipe, this is what it is, you'll do fine and the dish will taste good. But then there's the cooks who have had a lot of experience and they know how to get more flavor out of the smoker.
They can go off book.
They go off book and it's just that much more delicious. It's
Sure,
like,
yeah.
How did you do this? I'm like, I don't know. I threw it in some extra ingredients and I cooked it longer or I marinated it longer. Or they just know. And it makes it that much better. I feel like that is what the GV70 is to this. This is
Interesting,
procedural.
Yes.
It's excellent.
That's good. That's a good term.
It's good to drive. But then there's the surprise and delight and just go off book, off script, just a little bit that this doesn't have. This is very good and I do like driving it and is the enthusiast driver's SUV. If that's what you're looking for,
True.
this is what to choose. Because, yeah, I feel the precision. I mean, it's an SUV. The steering wheel feels dead to me, but there's that nice BMW precision. It's very by the book.
Precise, but with very little information, which is a BMW thing in all the steering of all of their cars right now. Cars, trucks, whatever, they're all that way.
If you're watching because you want a BMW X3 or any car, use Autotempest.com to search all the car markets and even research inventory at dealers.
AutoTempest helps you search nationwide across all the used car sites, including Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Plus, you can get email alerts so you never miss a listing.
We use it to research for our podcast, to search for crazy road trip cars, and just because we like to dream. And Autotempest can even help with new cars, pricing out the options and getting local dealer quotes. So if you're looking for new X3s or previous generations, Autotempest.com/everyday can get you the help you need. Autotempest. All the cars, one search.
8-speed automatic transmission. You've got the manual, the sport individual manual setting over here, and of course, this one is pretty loaded up. It's 67,000, pushing 70 with the lovely color.
Yes.
Aventurine red, I think it's called.
Ooh, that sounds
delightful.
Grand,
but
it is a really nice color. With
almost
this,
$2,000 for paint.
Yeah, well, that's that's kind of what it costs.
Cognac Sensitech.
The color choice on this is pretty much perfect.
Well, BMW claims this Sensitech material is ready for anything. No, it is not.
Okay.
It is not ready for spilled mango lassi or anything with curry in it. It is not ready for that.
Fair.
So let's go easy on the ready for anything.
You're right.
Kind of
well, and how many kids threw up in the test vehicle? That's my question. You want to talk ready for anything. Things that come out of kids, I'm just saying. Or dogs. That's how you prepare yourself for anything. Yeah.
I do like this. I'm enjoying driving this. I want just a little bit more. It's weird. It gives all of this to you, and it's an expensive, interesting, delightful, and fun SUV to drive. And yet I'm still looking for what's more. I want something just a little bit extra that keeps me coming back to say, yeah, I really like this thing. I think it's going to last a long time as far as the visuals.
Yes.
But this isn't too much of a departure, with the exception of the screen, from that original X5. It has that same feel, that same proportion. I do like the instrument panel a lot. I like the steering wheel. The paddles are good. Well, BMW shifter is, it's that detent thing where it snaps back to the position, the home position essentially. And then the start-stop, engine start-stop is right down here beside, in Volkswagen's position.
You kind of have to look at the shifter. I mean, I'm sure you drive it long enough, and those of you that drive only BMWs, I'm sure have gotten used to it. But we drive so many things, you have to look at the shifter and go, okay, did the right light light up? Did I do the? Okay,
and
I
then
did.
You confirm it over here on the instrument panel,
exactly,
and then you roll. But for me, it's the interface that is BMW's holdback here. It's intuitive, but again, it's very procedural. There's no loop where I can find the number of same features by getting there in different places, in different ways.
Sure.
It's just one way to do one thing.
Go down this menu, then this menu, and then
Here's
follow that
the way.
There, that's the way we get there.
It's a little bit frustrating to use in comparison to Genesis, in comparison to Mercedes, Stellantis. I think there's some better ones out there. And I think if it were easier and more intuitive to use, I think that would be better for BMW owners. I think that would set them apart. I think that would push on BMW a little more. But when it comes to the styling, the chairman of BMW, Oliver Zipse, has proclaimed that bread and butter models like this one won't be touched as far as controversial styling. The 3 Series, the 5 Series, X1, X3, X5, we're just going to kind of leave those alone because, that's where your sales are at. So good news.
Yeah.
I do like the styling on this. I think that's as big as the intakes need to be. There's no beaver teeth. The proportions, it's got a long hood, kind of like a sports car.
Proportion is excellent. It's reminiscent of the old BMW Z3 shoe, and that was a great looking car. However, on the mid-cycle refresh, there was mention in the press materials that they made the kidney grills bigger.
They did.
And they also acknowledged at one point, following along with the 2 teeth motif. And I was like, there it is.
Are you serious?
Yes. 2 teeth motif was used more than once in the press materials. And I thought, beaver teeth, folks, we've been saying it for years. If you can refer to something on your vehicle styling in your actual press materials as teeth, I think it might need to be rethought. I'm just putting that out there. I don't think teeth is a styling effect.
The design cues from BMW and all of BMW's history are evident everywhere on the X3.
Yes.
The proportions are great. The size is actually really good. The backseat space is great. The cargo space, especially when you fold the seats down, this is the usable size. This is really the SUV that you want, that just kind of fits your life. It's not too big. It's still got great power, and the balance is it still drives really well. So I want BMW to push more, but I don't want them to become controversial like they're doing, because the GV70 is different, interesting, but it's not controversial.
Sure,
It's spicy, there's flavor to it. Whether you like it or not, I think more people do like it, and it's just elegant. I would love BMW to do elegant and to let themselves create beautiful shapes rather than just going for the controversy so their name stays in the news.
Interesting. Ooh.
I like this, but it's not the standout eye-catcher kind of SUV. On the other hand, that's a good thing.
Sure.
But I want more spice. I want a little bit more interesting interior, even though the shapes are good.
Yeah.
They do relate, especially you can opt for the carbon fiber, $300 extra. And even when you open the door, behind the vents, it's embossed, even in the aluminum back here.
Things that weren't necessary, but there it is.
Little
anyway.
touches. I mean, we've got the real estate. We might as well.
We do. The tail
stamp
lights.
it in.
I think the taillights on this look really cool.
They look really nice.
Yeah, there's some nice detailing in it.
I was watching this get turned around, and I'm just observing the light and the shadows, and the proportions on this vehicle are excellent. I want BMW to push, but get elegant. Will BMW sort of let me sketch what I want?
I'm sure they plan to call you.
They do plan to
do.
call me.
For now, I need to drive though.
You do need to drive. It's actually fun. It's a good driving.
Okay, good.
It's a good
I'm
driving
glad to hear
car.
it. Okay, I have to look at the shifter. You gotta hold the right
you'll
buttons.
get dinged at.
Yeah, if you don't have the right buttons in your mouth right, then it doesn't do it right. Sport, okay, hang on, flooring it. Didn't even manually downshift, just asking for all of it.
That just sounds good.
It sounds great. And
This thing's fast.
Here's the crazy stat. 4.5 seconds 0 to 60.
It's quick.
In what actually in real usable space is a mid-size family 5-seater.
Yeah.
That is very, very fast. It's like 4.4, I think, actually, which is craziness. But the other thing is, this area of cars, this compact SUV, I think has replaced hot hatches. This is what people used to buy for the family hot hatch. 5 seats, a hatchback for cargo space. It's kind of a performance vehicle, but it's mainly just the family do-it-all. That's what these are now.
They kind of replace that need for the hatch.
Hatchbacks are the alt for the people that want to buy a hatchback, but for all of the people that used to buy them as just the family car, this is what the 5-seat SUV has done now. So of course, this is, if you will, the hot hatchback versus just a normal hatchback. It is the souped up version of what used to be hot hatchback thinking. Now BMW does try to have a rear biased all-wheel drive system. Of course, this is all-wheel drive. As we said before, is very heavy and does not feel like it. I do like that when I go into comfort, it's not kidding. There's an actual change.
It's sort of like you let the air out of the balloon and you're just
everything just kind of exhales and goes, And the suspension feels softer and the wheel is lighter. Now, flipping it the other way, there's not more information in Sport.
No.
It's just wheel is, you said it before, it's precise. There's not info. There's precision, but no information.
Less so in this than the 240i.
Agreed. But when you're driving around in comfort, it's not like the power went away.
That's true.
You put your foot in it, it's still quick.
It's still there.
But
That's
now
true.
it has kind of the suppleness or the softness that your typical SUV does.
Yeah.
That is more worried more about ride and let's just get the family places. And then you reach down here to Sport and it grumbles at you and it asks, well, what would you like to do, sir? It's like it wakes up, like, I'm sorry, it got tense. It's like, okay, what are we doing? Yes, sir. Can I help? So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
This is that category that I struggle with a lot, and that is the 5-seat SUV and everybody has too many.
You mean wanting to own one yourself or justifying it in the marketplace, or what do you mean?
Well, every brand sells multiple.
Yeah.
They don't need to, but every brand sells
There's money
multiple.
on the table.
Yes.
We got to take all the money.
If you don't have every variation of size, because think about the fact that there's an X2 below this.
There's an X4 with the Sportback,
but
thing.
the X2 is very hatchback-like.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually the usable size, but everybody's doing every possible size. And I will say this in defense and support of this vehicle, though.
Okay.
I think it's in the upper 15 to 10% of vehicles like this as far as enjoyment and performance is concerned.
Yeah.
I do think it's up there with the Macan, which is pretty much the king.
Agreed.
The GLA, which is very good in AMG form. The Genesis GV70. I mean, these are the ones where I want that 5-seat usability that everyone's making. You can drown yourself in options in 5-seat SUVs.
True.
But
Yes.
very few are interesting at all. And I think this is more interesting than most. I would still buy the GV70, which is similar price.
Yeah.
This is almost $70,000. The GV70, I think, looks a little more interesting and drives with a little bit more personality than this. The Porsche is essentially Porsche's hatchback, and it's very, very good, but it's also very, very expensive. Check any boxes, it got a lot more expensive than this.
Is. Well, there's an X3M above this.
Yes, you're
but
right.
This is like still expensive, but you get a lot for your money. It's expensive, but I do feel like you're getting a lot here, and I do like it.
I feel like on initial glance at that price of nearly $70,000, I go, wow, that's expensive. But then I think about the competition and we go, no, that's just competitive.
Yeah.
That's just what these cost. A 5-seat luxury brand SUV with some performance, you're spending, I hate to say it, $65,000 to $70,000.
Sure.
And that's exactly what this costs.
Yeah.
So I do think BMW's executed this very well. I also think it matches the rest of what BMW is doing right now. The raw history of BMW's driving feel has faded away. It's matched more the driving feel of their all-electrics, which drive very similar to their combustion engines with the possible exception of sound. They have made all of their vehicles drive very similarly, and they all feel like part of the family.
True.
They aren't as interesting as they used to be, but there is a BMW feel, and this has it.
And this is actually fun to drive.
Yes.
It's still small enough and it's still agile enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you're in sport and the adaptive suspension is doing its thing,
Everything tightens up.
it's actually kind of nimble and fun. There's
quite
enjoyment
nimble.
here.
And for its weight, it's impossible. When you throw this into a corner, it feels like, okay, this is like, what's this weigh, like 3,500 pounds? No, 1,000 more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does feel like your typical middle sedan kind of weight, good handling.
That weight shift right there was great.
It's very taut. When you put it into sport mode, it's very athletic. I have no complaints about the way this handles.
Plus, we're on winter tires. This
Yes.
is properly equipped for winter driving.
This is a
These are
winter
squishy winter
driving
tires.
Yes, for sure. And it gets obviously quite a bit looser. Earlier I had it in comfort mode, and it was a little loose for what I'd like it to do. But as soon as it's in sport, it's great. I don't have any problems with the dynamics. I don't find it engaging. It's a bit sterile and very precise, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not what I gravitate toward.
It's kind of the last before BMW commits fully to the EV direction. The way this drives is still harkens back to the good old days, the gas engine, the inline six.
Sure.
But it points to the future.
Yep.
That unless dynamically speaking, those get really good, it hints of that too. So
It's the last of the breed.
it does feel like that. So
Interesting.
get the 2023, get this one.
Okay.
I like it a lot. This is a standout.
It's up there.
But if you buy this, you're really a BMW fanboy, right?
Yeah, you
or
are, for
fangirl.
sure. Because otherwise, there's other options on the market. But if you're a BMW person, this is a great option in that area.
BMW fan person?
Fan person.
Fan
that doesn't have a
human,
ring, does it?
fan-
I like fan human.
Fan human.
Yes, for fan humans, the X3. For fan humans. I don't even know what the that is.